I'm Sprout, and I'm one of the naturalists here at Science Camp, and I will be leading you all in a short activity called nature journaling. And you may be wondering, what is nature journaling? And hopefully I can answer that question for you right now. So I'm going to flip my page. So nature journaling is where you get to pick something that you want to study. So a physical object. It can be whatever you want, and I'll have you choose in just a moment. And with that object, you're going to use your 5 senses. So your sight, your smell, perhaps your taste, depending on what you choose to study, your hearing, and your sense of touch. And based on everything you notice, you're going to take all of those observations and all the thoughts you have in your mind and kind of put that all down onto a piece of paper. So everybody's final project or journal will look very different from each other, and yours will look very different from mine, and that's great. So however you want to put down your observations works great. So if you really like to draw, then you'll get a chance to do some drawing and adding as much detail as you would like. If you have colors, you're welcome to use those as well. Perhaps some of you don't like drawing as much. If you are not super into drawing, then you can maybe add some more words to describe what you notice. So this is completely up to you, and however you like to think and learn best, that's what I want you to do. Personally, I will be doing a combination of drawing and writing. And again, when we get to the part of actually doing this activity, you can choose how you would like to do it. Cool. So we will go ahead and get started, but I want to make sure you have what you need. So for this activity, I need you to have some sort of piece of paper, something to write with. I'm going to use a pen. You can use a pencil or a pen. And then you will need something to study. Since I'm out here, I'm going to go ahead and study this leaf on the ground. But I'm sure that wherever you are, you have different things that you can study. I recommend finding something that's pretty simple or something small to start. So perhaps a piece of food or something lying around your room. If you have access to going outside, then you can go outside and find something like a leaf or a stick on the ground. Whatever it is, make sure you can bring it back to your computer or phone or however you're watching this. So at this time, please pause your video, grab what you need, and then come on back and play the video. Welcome back. Hopefully you have everything that you need because we are going to get started. So again, think of what we're about to do, what you're about to draw or write on your paper. Think of that as all of the thoughts in your mind and all of the observations that you're making, a way for you to put that on paper. So, I'm just going to walk you through a couple steps to get started, and then I'm going to give you about 5 minutes on your own time to add as much detail as you possibly can. So when I start off with my nature journaling, I do like to do a rough sketch or a really quick drawing of what I am studying. So since I have this leaf here, I can put it flat on my paper, and honestly, I'm just going to trace this leaf so I get a general shape and size of it. I don't want you to worry about what this comes out like or what it looks like. I want you just to do something really quick. So just take 10 seconds to draw a really quick view of whatever it is that you are about to study. And the goal of this is not to make it look pretty, but again, the goal of this activity is to learn and study as much as we can about our object. So with that, do your rough sketch. And then kind of once I have that, it's a great place to start so that I can add some more details. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to add some details based on what I notice about this leaf. So I'm going to take a moment to look at my leaf, and I'm going to make a note of the different colors that I see. If you have colored pencils or crayons, you're welcome to use those. I don't, so I'm just going to write about the different colors that I see. I'm going to look at the different lines and patterns in my objects, and so I'm going to draw some of those and maybe write a couple notes about any other lines or patterns that I can see. In addition to using my sight, I'm going to make some notes on what the object feels like, what texture it has. And I want you to go ahead and add that as well to yours. Maybe feel your object in different angles. Does it feel different when you turn it around in your hand? In addition to your feeling, go ahead and put your object up to your nose and smell it. And make a note of something that it might smell like. I'm going to have you just skip over taste because I don't know if what you have is something you can taste. I'm not going to taste this leaf, so we'll skip over that for now. But last but not least, go ahead and put your object up to your ear and give it a little tap or a twirl. Make a note of what it sounds like. Cool, so at this time, I'm going to pause so I can add the details onto my paper, and I want you to take 5 minutes to add as much detail as you can to your piece of paper. And again, yours will look different than mine, and you can choose to write more or draw more, and that is totally up to you. So again, take 5 minutes to share what you notice on your paper, and then you can come on back and play the video again. Welcome back. Thank you so much for taking time to add details to your journal. I'm going to share with something that I was working on in the last 5 minutes, just to give you some ideas moving forward. But like I mentioned earlier, I like to write a lot of words, so I did make a lot of notes of things that I noticed. And I provided different views of my object. So this was the view of my object from the front, and this is the view of it from the back. I also zoomed into a little part of my object so I could provide like a larger view of the details going on there. So your journal page will look much different from mine, and that's great. I want it to make sense for you. I want it to be something where you can learn more about what you are studying right now. Cool, so we're going to move forward. We have 2 more steps in this process. And the next step that we're about to do is take some time to ask as many questions as you can about our object. So based on what you've noticed and what you've observed, what are some things that you wonder about your object? So again, what are some things that you wonder or want to know about your object? Something that you can't tell just by looking at it or just by feeling it. I'm going to give you a couple examples of questions that I'm going to ask, and then I will write them down. And then we'll have you pause the video so you can take some time to write questions that you have. So a couple questions that I have about my object is I wonder where my object came from, and I wonder how long it's been lying on the floor. And I'm also wondering why my object has so many different colors and splotches on it. Great, so at this time, I'm going to have you pause the video and ask at least 3 questions you have about your object. So aim for at least 3 questions. You'll write those down on your journal page. And once you've done that, go ahead and hit play again. Great, thanks for taking the time to ask some questions. We are almost done here. We're going to move on to our final step of this process here. In this final step, I want you to think about what your object reminds you of. So, based on the different observations and questions you asked, did your object remind you of something else that you have seen or perhaps experienced before? I'm going to give you a few examples of what my object reminds me of, and then I'll have you pause the video one last time so that you can make some notes on what your object reminds you of. So for example, when I look at this object, the shape of it reminds me a little bit of like a boat. When I look at the colors, they remind me of a tie-dye pattern. And just by looking and feeling this leaf, I think of past experiences where I've played outside with leaves on the ground. So I'm going to have you at this time pause the video and take about 2 minutes to make a note of what your object reminds you of, and you can draw or write this on your paper. And come on back when you finish doing that. Cool. Thanks so much, everyone, for taking some time to make some notes on what your object reminds you of. Last thing, just for fun, is based on all this time you've spent with your object. Hopefully you've kind of made some sort of connection or bond to this object. I want you to come up with a name for it. And you may already know the name of your object. For example, I know that this is a leaf, but I want you to come up with a unique name for your object based on the observations that you just made. So for example, for my object, I'm going to name it a tie-dyed canoe. And I'm going to write that on the top of my nature journal to finish it up. So just take a moment right now to come up with a name for your object, and you can put that at the top of your page to finalize what you've worked on so far. And that about wraps up our activity for today. So congrats, felicidades. We are finished for today, and I hope that you learned something new about your object and can practice this nature journaling a little bit more. Thanks for joining today.